Blessings guys, Angelo with you. Welcome to my channel and my page. And again, I'm here with you with another spiritual content that I'm creating for you. So today's subject is going to be very interesting because before making and preparing this video, I was doing a lot of research about this one because, as you know, in my practices as a spiritual life coach and esoteric in my profession, I always try to go into the depth of the subject that I prepare for the videos that I make. So the other day, actually, I was just going through some of the different subjects and just of my own learnings, and then I came across a very interesting subject, which is deeply related to Kabbalah. For those of you who don't know what is Kabbalah, Kabbalah is a spiritual, esoterical learning based on Judaism. Kabbalah has a very, very old history, but also I believe that Kabbalah has been created around 13th century. And since that time, Kabbalah has become a very popular spiritual learning, not only in Judaism, but at the same time in the world culture and the world esoteric culture as well, because Kabbalah has a lot to do with the mysticism. So one of the reasons why I've decided to create this video, because I found very interesting links with our everyday life and with certain temptations that exist in our everyday life that can actually create complications or obstacles for us to achieve the goals or the dreams that we want to achieve as human beings. As we all know, we are here on this earth trying to build ourselves, trying to build our life, trying to kind of create our own reality. And of course, in order to do this, we need to closely be acquainted to the energies and understand how the energies and entities work. And at this point, we can actually find a way of building ourselves and making our life even much easier, making our life much more colorful, and achieve all the goals that we want to achieve in our life. But very interesting thing that I found while I was going through different learnings, and very funny to say that, but Kabbalah and Chakras, which is actually two different spiritual learnings, both coming from the ancient sources of the Eastern world, but however, they have an incredible link. And tonight I wanted to talk about this, to explain to you what is it all about and how can we actually avoid those obstacles that can stop or withhold us back from achieving our goals and making our life even more colorful, more productive, and helping us to achieve the dreams that we want to achieve. So in order to do this, in order to be able to live a better life, to create a better life, to create a better reality, first of all, what we have to do, as I mentioned in my previous videos, we're going to make sure that three important aspects work together, which is our soul, our body, and our mind. When there is balance of all these three, at the end of the day, I can guarantee you that you will be able to build the life that you want to build. But in order to be able to gain the balance of these three, we need to work hard on ourselves. We need to work hard on our abilities. We need to work hard on our spiritual well-being, on our mental well-being, as well as, of course, the physical well-being, as our body is our temple. And our spiritual world, our inner mental state, is basically those energies within that temple, and we gotta make sure to protect them. We gotta make sure to take care of them. We gotta make sure to actually raise our vibrations and our energies so that we can attract and manifest the life that we want to attract. So in my previous videos, I was giving you some of the examples of the manifestation systems that I was practicing myself personally, but also I have been getting some questions from some of my followers that what may happen sometimes when we do all these different kind of techniques, not only the ones that you are using, but also different kind of manifestation techniques, but somehow we still don't see the result. And I started doing my research about this subject because it's quite relevant subject in lots of ways, and I believe a lot of people might have encountered with this kind of situation. And the reality is that as it says in Kabbalah, and not only in Kabbalah, by the way, in a lot of different spiritual learnings, a lot of different spiritual sources, they talk about the 7 dark facets of pleasurable temptations. Once again, repeating, 7 dark facets are pleasurable temptations, which is basically are the entities, energetic entities that are invisible to us. But those entities somehow can block our chakras, which is interesting again, right? We're talking about the 7 main chakras that we have, and each chakra is our energetic center. At the same time, there are 7 energetic entities, that the dark entities that actually may stop or withhold us through our emotions, weaknesses, and desires to achieve the goals and to be able to feel the ties between our body and our soul and create the energy, create the vibrations of manifestation. So tonight I decided that I want to talk about those 7 entities and 7 energies. It's because once you know what you're dealing with, once you know the methods of dealing with these energies, then you can definitely cleanse yourself or protect yourself, and this way raise your vibrations and raise your energy and actually get more connected to the universal powers to be able to manifest the life that you want to manifest. For example, let's say that some of us want to be rich, some of us want to be popular, some of us want to, have a power, some of us have their personal goals, their personal desires that they are trying to chase, that their dreams that they're trying to chase to achieve those goals. But at some point they see that no matter how much work they put and they invest, they still don't seem to be able to attract the life that they want to attract. And here is exactly why the subject is going to be so important and also hopefully useful for you. And once again, now for those of you who don't know me, I'm Angelo. I'm a spiritual life coach and esoteric and astrologer. And usually I try to create useful content for spiritual people, even if you are not spiritual, but I would say that this content somehow would be useful for you, because that might open up your eyes at some point to different things and make you understand how the universal powers work. So today's subject is going to be about the 7 dark facet pleasurable temptations that can block our energy. And by blocking our energy, which means blocks our chakras, which is not allowing us to create that sense of unity with the universal power. So now let's start with the first dark entity that is kind of withholding us back and not letting our soul develop to the point so that we can connect through our spiritual being, through our spirit, to the universal powers. And that entity's name is Asodora. Asodora. It's an entity of lust, seduces through the intense desires of physical and emotional desires, which means lust, as we know, is kind of a sex, right? So in religion, like, by the way, we can take in other religions, right? There are specifically in Christianity, unless I'm mistaken, they're talking about the 7 deadly sins. And very funny, because again, doing my research, I decided to put all those little things and puzzles together, and basically lust is one of the biggest of them. So the lust, what it does, it actually, Asodora, as an entity of darkness, it distracts you from your goals, it distracts you from your spiritual growth through the physical, pleasurable temptations. So that's why a lot of time for those people who want to develop themselves spiritually, it is always important to understand that we need to learn to control our instincts, not let them control us. And that's where the dark entity Asodora is actually secretly kind of can be like influencing you. It's when we give in our lust, when we give in our instincts, automatically we are stepping back from our spiritual and we're giving in to the earthly pleasures, right? So I'm not saying is that, sexual desires is bad. No, that's a part of the human nature. That's part of our nature and our needs. But it is important not to let the sense of the lust and the physical pleasures to actually control you. And basically Asodora, as a dark entity, using the power of the lust, creates that obsession and addiction through the touch or sexual desire. That's again when we're given into our instincts. That's what it does, is like it blocks our chakra, and it's mainly related to the sexual chakra, as we know, basically anahata. And by the way, at the end of the video, I'm just going to give you those little remedies and ways of being able to actually protect your chakras, to protect your energetic centers from those dark entities, because again, I practice it myself as well. And I'm very glad that actually one of my followers did ask this question. So the first entity, going back to the subject, is Asodora. And the second, now we're moving to the second entity, or the second temptation of pleasure, and that's Glitrix. The name of the entity is Glitrix, and Glitrix is the demon of indulgence. Basically, drinking, luxury, overconsumption, numbing of the pain. You know, when we are given into our instincts or our emotions, and we let our emotions control our body and our mind, what it does, it basically numbs our soul, it numbs our spirituality, and it actually lowers the vibrations. So the Glitrix is responsible for those obstacles. It's when we kind of think that, you know, drinking and all these luxurious and earthly pleasures can satisfy us, but at the end of the day, we still may feel some sort of sense of being lost or being empty, or sense of emptiness, which is actually eventually can cause the depressive episodes. So this is where Glitrix, the dark entity of pleasurable temptation, is trying to distract you from your spiritual growth, keeping you within the restrictions of the earthly pleasures. And don't get me wrong, all the 7 entities, they are actually doing their basically mission, because that's how universe is testing us, whether we are really ready to commit to our spiritual life, to our spiritual world, or we are still not ready to be able to go on to the next and advanced level. So if you've given too much to your temptation of luxury, drinking, and or maybe even numbing your pain through, let's say that drinking through luxurious things, then that's where you need to understand that Glitrix might be responsible for that influence, for that energy that it's kind of working through to get to you. Now the third one, we're moving to the third entity, or in other words to say, to the third chakra, or to the third sin, according to Christianity, is Vanyara. Vanyara is the demon of vanity, or the entity of vanity. It's basically, Vanyara blinds us with self-love up to the point of narcissism, where we do not see anything else rather than finding the validation of the people around us with our looks or with our ego. So basically, Vanyara causes us to get so much aligned with our ego that it stops us from developing our spiritual side, and we can become up to the point of narcissist, so much obsessed with ourselves that not really noticing the reality that is going on around us. And of course, what it does is that it also lowers the vibration and doesn't let that chakra of yours, basically your third chakra, to align with the universal power. So Vanyara is the responsible for that entity, that is responsible for that. So basically it covers your eyes with the illusion that you are the best, that you are the most amazing and all these things. What it does basically, it does not allow you to work on yourself, to actually become the better version of yourself, because you already think that you're the best one. Again, up to the point of to narcissism. And that's where the dark entity is actually affecting you. So now let's move to the fourth dark entity that is affecting our life, that can affect us and withhold us from our spiritual growth, and it's Heteronau. Heteronau is the number 4th basically spiritual dark entity. It's basically the entity of escapism. Well, what I mean by escapism, it's like drugs, substances, not only alcohol, but also all other kind of drugs, all other kind of escapism methods that we can use. So the purpose of hedonal at this point is to keep us within that comfort zone of illusion, giving us that illusion of relief through escapism, by not allowing us actually to face the real challenges of the universe and to let us grow our soul, to let us grow spiritually. And again, at the end of the video, I'm going to give you some remedies against of all these entities so that you can work on yourself as well. You can do those meditations, and at the same time, you can actually help yourself to fight those dark entities so that they don't have much of a power over you. So what hedonal does is that the fourth dark entity is that through escapism, it kind of helps you to avoid the sense of the truth and responsibility. And of course, as we know, if we do not take responsibility for our life, for our decision, for our actions, we usually get stuck in the comfort zone and we don't evolve, neither physically, mentally, or spiritually. Now let's move to the entity number 5, which is Syracuse. And the Syracuse is the entity of erotic power. Again, Syracuse and Asodora are very similar in themselves, but one thing Asodora does is that it destructs us through lust, where the Syracuse uses the seduction. And it not only may be a sexual or lust seduction, but emotional seduction, or let's say that emotional dependency, codependency on something, on someone. In other words, to say, people may call it a love addiction. So basically, Syracuse is an entity, dark entity of fake love that basically can make us emotionally get dependent on another person. And what happens when we get emotionally dependent on another person? We again just get into that dark cycle of the pain, depression, right? And it opens up doors for all other entities actually to walk into your life at this point. Because just like I said, the Glitterix, Veniera, all these entities get even more closer to you, because when you're in pain, what you want to do, you want to escape. You need to escape the reality, where you start doing drinking, drugs, all these different things that help you to numb your pain. Can you see how all these 7 entities are linked with between each other, like among each other, just like the 7 chakras, right? So that's why they're like, when one of them is getting attached to us, then they open up the doors for the other entities to enter our life. It's like basically they create that little loop in our aura, in our astral body, and then it helps other dark entities to get attached to us. And when those entities actually start affecting and influencing us, what happens is that they start sucking up our emotion, like spiritual energy, and they got us blinded completely through the illusion of the pain, illusion of the problems, illusion of the addictions. So that's one thing that I want to tell you about, is this, like, if you think about it, if you put them all down together, it makes so much sense. Because if you think about it, those are exactly the physical, the worldly pleasures that may distract us from becoming the better version of ourselves and growing ourselves, and mentally and physically and even spiritually. So now let's go to the next 6th entity, which is Luxorith. Luxorith, as it sounds by its name, is basically the entity that gives us the illusion of the pleasure through earthly pleasures, but like luxury life, cars, all the materialistic things that it can basically put into your mind and make you be hungry for all those materialistic goods, so that it distracts you from your spiritual growth. So at this point, what we have to do is, like, we need to always remember that materialistic goods are always good. We need them in this life, but they should not be the reason, those materialistic goods, or obsession over those materialistic goods like car, luxurious life, dresses, clothes, fragrances, all those things that we are just on our daily life obsessed with, that they should not be the reason why we are not growing spiritually. Because in fact, all those distractions, all what they're doing is that they are not helping you, but in fact they are keeping you behind, not letting you evolve yourself. Because remember, the reward of being able to get over all this 7 dark passive pleasurable temptations is to connect with the universe and actually gaining the real power of manifestation of the real life that you want to attract. But in order to do this, Sometimes we need to fight with those entities. Sometimes we need to resist the energy of those entities. Sometimes we need to resist the kind of opportunity, not the opportunities, but the situations or kind of circumstances that those entities create in our life or in our mind, in our thoughts. By the way, one of the easiest way of how they can affect you is through our brain and the thoughts. That's why the Christianity or the other religions, they talk about the devil, because the devil usually whispers in your ear. So basically this entities goes deep down into our subconscious mind, because we know that everything is coming from the subconscious mind, and try to drag you from your real path so that they can distract you and they can suck on your energy. And the more you give them access, the more they control you, don't forget. So the next one and the last one of the dark faceted pleasurable entities is phantas. So the phantas is the entity of illusionary pleasures, basically escapism from the reality and responsibility, but not through the, different kind of, I would say that substances, but through lies, through deceit. Basically, we use a lot of lies in our daily life to avoid the responsibilities. We get so much caught up in our own lies that we understand that it starts ruining our life, but we can't stop. And those people may be usually called the pathological liars, right? So, I mean, like, not everybody is a pathological liar, but like when the fear pushes you to go down the path of deceit and the lie, and instead of just facing the real problem and saying, you know what, I'm strong enough to face this challenge of the universe and to fight and to work with it so that I can become the better version of myself. So when we're doing that, what we're doing is that we're resisting that dark entity. So basically, those were the 7 main entities, dark entities, that are withholding us to connect with our soul so that we can actually manifest the life that we want to manifest and to work on our dreams and achieve those goals that we want to achieve. Now, as I said, when it comes to, when it comes to the point of resisting them, I'm actually gonna give you the list of the frequencies for each chakra that we have, for each 7 main chakras, because don't forget that those dark entities specifically affect us through our chakras, and our chakras are our energetic centers. And I'm gonna give you the list of all the frequencies that you need to listen at least 15 minutes before you go to bed or you're in bed. You can find those frequencies, you can find those sounds and the frequencies on YouTube channel. There's tons of them, but I'm gonna give you the list of those specific frequencies that each of them corresponds to your chakra. And every night within a week, I want you to listen to them before you go to bed, because what it does is that those frequencies help to raise your vibrations, cleanse your chakras, and help you to resist the energy of those dark entities. And once you do this, I mean, it would be better, of course, if you turn this little thing into your daily habit before going to bed. You can repeat them every week. There is no restriction on that at all. It is actually recommended to keep on doing this and turning that into part of your routine, because that's how you will actually see and feel a difference, that your sense of will, of power, is getting stronger, and you will feel definitely very different energetically, even in your thoughts, in your mind, in your physical sensory feelings, that you get more empowered and you start actually resisting those dark, temptational, pleasurable temptations or entities. So guys, now you can actually go and check out those frequencies that are going to be right under my video here, and I want you to repeat them again. Each of them corresponds to a certain day of the week and certain chakra. And the more you repeat them, the more you keep on with the consistency. Let's not forget about the, principles of intentions and consistency, discipline. Once we have them, then you can also simultaneously carry out your manifestation techniques, carry out your gratitude techniques through journaling, and you will see that all these things working together creates that incredible power within yourself that will enable you eventually to create the reality, the real life, not the illusional that are being given or kind of putting into our mind by those dark entities, but finding your real self, building your real energy, building your real self, and attracting exactly, manifesting the life that you want to manifest. At this point, guys, I would like you to ask your opinion about, have you actually faced with any of those energies, like dark entities in your life, and that they somehow affected you or didn't allow you to achieve your goals and distracted you? And if so, what was the solution? What kind of solution you found for yourself? What kind of techniques you're using at this point to be able to resist those dark entities and still stay aligned with your universal truth? If you like this video, guys, feel free to put the like button, to press the like button for me, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'm here every week making new content, spiritual and hopefully useful content for you. And once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Stay blessed.